warm welcome to the first of many interviews we'll be holding in celebration of the Insurtech 100, a publication we've recently put out in collaboration with EY. Over the coming months, we'll be diving deep into a better understanding of the businesses featured in the report, the entrepreneurs behind those Insurtechs, and taking a look at just where we see the insurance market heading over the coming years. Today, I am honored to be joined by two people without whom none of this could have been possible. We have Chris Payne and Penny Froling from EY. Chris, Penny, welcome.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.
Good. And if I could
Otherwise.
ask both of you to make a quick introduction, it'd be great to learn a little bit more about you. So Chris, maybe we can start with you and your role at EY.
Sure, Matt. Sure. No, great to be here. So I'm Chris Payne. I'm a partner based out of the London office when we're allowed to be in it at EY. And really the focus of my role is to drive our technology business really across EMEA. I'm really focused on a bunch of different areas, but clearly the bigger sort of transformation deals and activities that we get involved in, but also a real eye on what's new, the Insurtech and innovation. So that's really my centre of focus. And of course, that was why the whole Sønr piece was so of interest to me, Matt. Penny?
Good to hear. And Penny?
Thank you. I'm Penny Froling. I'm also with the London office, despite the accent. I'm a partner in EY Parthenon, which is Ernst & Young's strategy practice. And I focus on the insurance sector, so basically the whole gamut that runs from life and health all the way through to GI and specialty. I've been doing that for longer than I care to relate, which means I've lived through a lot of different economic cycles and a lot of very, very disruptive change. And that's kind of what I help clients navigate, how they capture and respond to that so that they can grow. And the whole revolution in tech as manifested in all these fantastic Insurtech startups is one of the areas that is a particular interest and also is vital that clients, wrestle with and get their hands around in terms of one, capability building, but also as a potential source of growth and acquisitions.
Wonderful. Thank you, Penny. So I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to give a little backstory to the Insurtech 100. So, and then I promise, dive into some questions to you both. But for those who may not have yet come across it, it is the third year of publication. It's a celebration of the leading Insurtechs globally, and it's one of a kind in as much as the 100 are ranked. And I thought I'd share a little as to how we go about that. So it ties neatly into our business. So as Chris mentioned, our company is Sønr, and we are an Insurtech scouting and open innovation platform, and we track over 2 million companies globally. And in addition to the detail that we are therefore able to determine around market trends and how the incumbents are innovating, we also present 200,000 plus startups and scale-ups that are relevant to the world of insurance through our platform. And naturally, this data is a great start, and we're very fortunate in that. But we've also built a piece of technology which is called the Sønr Index, which looks at thousands upon thousands of data points within an individual business. So we look at the people within the company, the product of the company, we look at the performance of that Insurtech. And what that allows us to do is create a long list, which is then passed through a judging panel of 20 senior industry experts from across the world. And that is the Insurtech 100. And for me, almost echoing the introductions from both of you, it's a critical piece of market intelligence. I see the market moving at such a pace, and whilst Insurtechs in part pose a direct threat to incumbents, most are enablers. They offer the opportunity to transform and innovate businesses that have been around for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of understanding these Insurtechs a little better. And for me, that's why the Insurtech 100 is important, but also being a young business. And while we have a wonderful array of international clients using our platform, from the Alliances, the Munich Re's, the Generalis, and so on, we're a young company. And so for us, teaming up with the the knowledge, the brand authority, the brand reach of EY is critical. So a big thank you to both of you for your support in this. And Chris, let's get into you touched on it. So let's maybe start with this as the first question. So can you tell me what it is about the publication that attracted EY to collaborate on it with us?
Of course, yeah. I mean, look, there was a few things. I mean, first things first, it was quite a personal thing for me. You know, end of a long week on a Friday, actually just kind of receiving the, you know, the sort of bite-size summary of everything going on in the world of Insurtech was, you know, firstly, actually found it, you know, engaging and enjoyable to read. And I think it hits right at the heart of, you know, my day job. I mean, of course, I'm trying to do so many things, but I'm also, you know, also with my background, I'm fascinated by innovation and the innovation coming into the insurance marketplace. And, you know, I think Sønr is a great summary of activity and movement and of, you know, frankly exciting events and developments that we're seeing. And I think from a very specific EY point of view, look, of course, we're working globally with most of the major insurers around business and technology transformation and innovation, and increasingly being closer to, you know, that change and that activity, that creativity, I think is absolutely key, not just for us, but for our clients. And what our clients expect from us is for us to be informed and to be able to bring, you know, a lens on, if you like, those different options that might be available to them. And I think Sønr is a great input to us in being able to do that in an effective and an informed way. So to sponsor and be involved, and actually to be more than just a paid sponsor, but actually be in the lifeblood of the analysis. Obviously, some of the stuff that Penny did, I think that's also been great for us, and it means that we're also learning as well, you know, and we can bring that back to the marketplace and to our clients. So that for me were the key drivers, Matt.
Thank you for that, Chris. Penny, I'm not sure if you're a reader, but on Friday, in fact, every other Friday, what Chris is alluding to there is I put pen to paper, or at least digital pen to paper, and write something called Sønr, which is a snapshot of the industry, which I was following, you know, you hear about writing newsletters. It's great to get your brand out there. And bearing in mind, I was the kid at school who had the extra lessons for dyslexia, and writing is something that really doesn't come natural to me. I've now caught myself in a bit of a trap on the basis that I now write to tens of thousands of people every other Friday. Wow. Who read and rate, I know, indeed, right? Who rate this newsletter.
I'm impressed, man.
Well, indeed.
And on
so
a Friday afternoon, no less, as well.
But it really, really does write off every other Friday for me. And I'm yet to find a ghostwriter who can actually do a half-decent job in my tone of voice. And I feel like I might be wedded to this for a long time to come. Yeah. Anyway, back to topic. Chris, I'm really interested, maybe the last question to you before Penny reverting over it. What do you see the relevance of the Insurtech 100 into almost kind of on the broader insurance landscape? How do the two fit together?
Well, there's a number of areas. I mean, I think the first things first, I think what has evolved with the sort of changing landscape of technology and just the speed of change is that if you go back 3 or 4 years, I think there was a plethora of Insurtechs 3 or 4 years ago. One of the real challenges was around how one integrated or adopted those into an organization. I think what has changed and what makes therefore these players even more relevant is that we've seen innovation and if you like the speed of market change increase, but also we've seen organizations' ability to, you know, integrate and bring those types of solutions into the value chain much more easily. So I think, you know, it's a twofold piece. I think we've got some more exciting things arriving, and I think from the carrier side of things, we've got greater capability to integrate, use, leverage, and deploy, and to do that more quickly. And I think that is, you know, I think that is the point. This is about we are seeing a kind of generational shift, in my view, in the marketplace in terms of customer sentiment alone. And I think many I don't think quite get this yet within insurance or realize it, but you know, this is stuff that we do a lot of work on. Penny does a lot of work on. But that whole thing around sort of purpose and, you know, this ESG agenda, it's not a fad. It's not something that's just going to go away. And I think that, you know, there is a lot of examples of these drivers of sort of innovation and change. And of course, there's a set of insurance solutions, Insurtechs, whatever we want to call them, that are arriving at the right moment to help, you know, organizations move themselves forward on a growth path. And I think that's the crux of it.
Well, maybe we can touch on the ESG side of things and other trends that we're seeing in a little while. And Penny, it may be a great segue over. So first of all, thank you for the huge amount of work that you put in analyzing the 100. Was there anything, it's such a open question, forgive me, but was there anything that particularly stood out for you when reviewing the 100?
Yes, there's a bunch of things that have stood out. Most particularly, Matt, you made the comment saying that a lot of Insurtechs are enablers as opposed to direct competitors. And I think that really is manifested in the players that are on the list, in that what you see is well over 50% of these companies are actually B2B, you know, or B2B2C players who are providing, you know, it's that classic PaaS or SaaS service model, which, you know, heavily AI, IA, big data enabled platforms that are specifically designed for the large established incumbent players to actually plug into. APIs, to Chris's point about the fact that, you know, it's very easy for the incumbent players to begin plugging in a lot of these solutions. A couple of years ago, or even 5 years ago, we would not have been able to have this conversation. APIs have basically revolutionized the interconnectivity that we now get, and are also vital to enabling clients to bypass or supplement, complement their cumbersome, you know, middle and back office systems. So the promise of APIs is really, I think, manifested in a lot of the companies that we see that are winners in terms of your 100 list this year. So that one really struck me. The other one that struck me was just the sheer volume of new entrants. So 50% of your 100 list are brand new companies. And for brand new companies that are probably, a lot of them are under 5 years old, for their being able to get the kind of funding and to ramp up, particularly during the last 18 months of a global pandemic and lockdown with all of its inherent challenges, is unbelievably impressive, and shows, one, the capital available and the demand for these services, but also the fact that these startups can work unbelievably virtually and flexibly, and none of this environment has held them back. And one last comment is, not surprisingly, reflecting kind of what I would see as the zeitgeist of the past 18 months. 20% of the 50 new entrants on your list are related to health. Yep. Again, which I think just reflects kind of the environment and what we're operating, and just the very, very strong demand and innovation that people are bringing to it is a very, very real need and real problem in the insurance industry.
Interesting, thank you for that. And tying both in with health, but also you reference capital availability. One of the things I was particularly interested in, and you picked out with your analysis, was around the geographic spread, and in particular, the continued US dominance, which you alluded to perhaps that being reflective of the capital available out in the US and in that market. And all of our data backs that up. Now, what we've also seen, and something that excites me, and we talked about the new entrants into the market, is the scaling of these startups across both Europe and Asia at the moment, and that's definitely a trend we're witnessing. What are your thoughts on how that kind of geographic representation might play out in the next 12 plus months, and are we going to see a greater sort of global balance, you know, or representation from the non-US markets?
The short answer, honestly, Matt, is I don't know really. I think it depends on, you had so many new entrants this year, and who were under 5 years old, but then you had incumbents who have been in the top 10 for quite a long time, some of which are either subsidiaries of publicly traded companies or just went IPO. So, depending on what happens next year, potentially we'll see more geographic diversity. However, it's just the well-established fact is that they're just very, very sophisticated, established venture capital and private equity firms who are very seasoned at providing very large pools of capital into maybe later stage companies. So that's kind of the 6, 7, 8 years where they're really ramping up. They're doing massive geographic expansion. The ask and the level of funding is significantly higher. They might have aspirations to go pre-IPO. And typically what happens is it's just those companies find it easier to get large pools of funding in the US because of the experience and the deep pockets of the established Silicon Valley, and other players. So it's just a pragmatic thing, I think.
Super interesting. Thank you for that. Last question to you, Penny, if I may, because I loved.
I'm just worried you're getting tired of my voice, Matt.
No, yeah, well, no, not at all. But let's bounce this one over to you, and then maybe
and then we'll
wrap
let
up
Chris talk
with Chris. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I particularly enjoyed your passing observations, or the end of your analysis, which talked about the nascent trends that we're seeing across the 100, and Chris referenced ESG, which was one of those. So what did we have? We had cyber, we had embedded, we had ESG, we had what one that I'm a particular fan of, the tapping into underserved communities. If you could put your name, or I don't know, maybe even a dollar against one of those trends that insurers should be across for 2022. So it's a little bit of a sort of a guessing, looking forward, I guess. But which one of those trends, if any of those, would it be?
I'd have to put my money on climate. So the E part of ESG, and the reason for that, Matt, is the climate issue has gone from pretty much 0 to 95 miles an hour in terms of zooming up the board and C-suite agenda over the past 18 months, but even 12 months. And there's a lot of reasons for that. There's this perfect storm of issues that have all kind of converged to create these priorities. So, the first was very devastating climate disasters, whether it be the fires in Australia and California, and then the significant flooding that's happened in Europe, as well as on the East Coast of the United States. Then we had the Black Lives Matter movement, which really brought to the fore issues around social equality. We saw insurance companies make very specific comments about having funded the slave trade, for example, things related to COVID and the pandemic. And now most recently, we have COP26 and significant scrutiny, political pressure, spotlights by politicians and activist groups, with a lot of governments making very, very public statements about net zero transition, but also regulators now saying that one needs to evidence and document one's net zero transition path. Now, for the insurance industry, they've got exposure in a lot of different areas. One, they need to show that they're, from a corporate level, they're net zero. They also have underwriting risk, and they also have, decisions they need to make around the companies that they choose to underwrite going forward. Plus, they have supply chain considerations in terms of, for example, automotive. They need to be evidencing not just the carbon footprint of their supply chains, but you get into social issues, around equal pay or human trafficking and things like that. The challenge with all of this is there is a dearth of data and a dearth of credible sources of data that one can draw on. And there has to be companies that are going to be coming in, creating platform as a service, AI capabilities, API capabilities that support insurers in filling data and reporting gaps for all of the things that I just mentioned: underwriting, supply chain, evidence of net zero, all of these things. So, you know, our Insurtech friends are, if anything, incredibly innovative and very, very good at spotting white spaces, and the deployment of this new data capability, you know, and the flexibility to plug into data architectures is a real need that our big corporate and insurance clients are facing.
Great, thank you for that, Penny. As promised, a question to Chris. So Chris, I'm putting you a little bit on the spot here, and forgive me for doing it. So the Insurtech 100 has, I mean, it's been a matter of weeks since we published it. It has been a great success in as much as a superbly interesting read. It's reached tens of thousands of people, not just through the Sønr distribution, but across social and other routes. The big question is where do we take this? So the EY Sønr collaboration, bigger and better next year, more of the same? Where are your thoughts?
Bigger and better next year. I mean, I think we remember when we had the conversation about this, Matt, and I said, you know, something I was excited and sort of passionate about doing, and that came across in terms of how you guys, you know, you're passionate about the marketplace and what you're trying to build in terms of as a business. And I think that, yeah, look, I think we've seen some tremendous responses to, you know, it's been all over, you know, platforms like LinkedIn, and it's triggered some great conversations already. I would like to think that we will be doing something. If you ever do anything, always try and do it better. I think our first sort of collaboration has been a really, really positive one. I mean, it's also about do you kind of get on and do you work well together? And I think we've answered that question very quickly and very easily. So, you know, I'm certainly looking forward to building on what we've already done. I think there's so much change going on, as I said. I think just by staying on the pulse of that, by definition, we will do something that's perhaps even better next year. But I do think these things gather momentum, and certainly from my perspective, it was the output was better than I would have even hoped, and I had high expectations. So yeah, let's do the, I don't know, are we going to do the 150 or are we going to do the 100 again? I don't know.
Well, let's see. Maybe there's an extension.
200, I don't know.
And maybe we can also get together in person for some of the pre-publication sessions. That could be a nice thing as well. So let's hope the world opens up.
Planning and celebration. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, lovely. Well, look, Chris, Penny, thank you to you both. Let's wrap it up with there. As mentioned up front, this is going to be the first of many of these interviews where we will step a little deeper into the companies and entrepreneurs featured in the Insurtech 100. So I hope you'll be able to join for some of those. I really do. But for now, thank you to you both. Thank you to EY for their support, and have great days. And we'll catch up soon, I have no doubt.
Thank you, Matt.